there are 6 amazing prophecies in the hadith literature, meaning the preserved statements of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which accurately describes our time here in 2019 in this era. So let's very quickly jump into it. So the first one here, and by the way, all the references will be in the description of this video if you ever want to read the references for yourself. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "There's two types of the denizens of the hell whom I did not see." So these people did not exist during his time. People who have flogs like the tails of the ox, and they would be beating the people. Now look at the next statement. And the woman who would be dressed but appear to be naked. Okay, so that's probably talking about scant type clothing, which you see going to the malls or out on the beach or wherever. Now, you might look at this and say, okay, well, that's not really that amazing. You could probably guess that something like that could have happened. Look, agreed. That's agreed. But now here is what is amazing. It's just not, this is not the only prophecy. There are other prophecies which he described, and I'll share with you. We'll go through them very quickly. And when you look at all of them, you have to say, well, okay, wait a second. Maybe the first one was a good guess. It's a gamble. Maybe that could take place again. Could take place. But then when you start looking at more and more descriptions of our times, you have to now conclude, wait a second. This is not some kind of guesswork. This is not some kind of, hand-me-down information from generation to generation. This is clearly peering into our world today. So let's take a look very quickly. And again, all these references that you're seeing, these links, will be made available inside the description below. So not just women will be dressed but appear to be naked, but drinking of alcoholic drinks will be very common. Well, what we know today with the advent of Budweiser and the distillery, the amount of drinking alcohol is far exceeds than during the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Illegal sexual intercourse will prevail. Of course, today it is considered okay to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, to shack up, to have premarital sex. That's considered a norm today. So you cannot even compare. Though these two things existed during the life of Muhammad, drinking and sexual intercourse, illegal sexual intercourse, no way could they be compared to the amount as they are today. Now this is very interesting. Compete with one another's in the height of their buildings. And that's exactly what we see today. In fact, if you just Google it, competing to build the tallest buildings, you'll see that Dubai just recently built what is considered to be the tallest building, which you can see over here. The Burj Tower buildings. You can see that, but they're not the only ones who are competing. You see that the world's tallest building in 2018, China dwarfs competition as competition soars. Saudi Arabia to build the world's tallest building. There is a huge competition here. Now let's go back to the actual prophecy here. Competing one another to the building of tall buildings. Now, once again, you can say, okay, well, maybe that was a lucky guess. You can take a look around and you can do some, guesswork and say, I think people are going to do that. Yes, agreed. But if you look at it in context of all the other prophecies, no, these cannot all be the result of guesswork. Okay, so individually you can dismiss them. Now let's go to number 5. The female singers and musical instruments will become popular. Well, of course, you got Mariah Carey, you've got Britney Spears. So the popularity of female singers today is nowhere in comparison as during the life of Muhammad. And of course, I'm sure there must have been female singers and musical instruments. So the popularity is just exponential as compared today. And then the last one, now this one, I have to admit, it did confuse me a little bit. Oh, by the way, I do want you to, if you get a chance, I do want you to read this book. It's about the signs before the day of judgment. In fact, all of this, which I'm sharing with you, are signs before the day of judgment. These are the signs which will happen that we are living in the last days. So we are actually in agreement with Christians that we look at our prophecies and we can agree with Christians in that we are truly living in the end times. Okay, so let's go on to number 6 here. They asked, why would the horse be so cheap? He said they will never be ridden in war again, which is actually very true. Horses, for almost in all practical purposes, are no longer being used in war. Now, there's some vagueness, I have to admit, about this, because if you actually read this hadith, and do so, please, because this is a very, very interesting passage about the Antichrist. The Antichrist, we call in Arabic, is Dajjal. So it's a really interesting read about when he will come again. But here's the confusing part. The reign of when Jesus comes again, which what we believe, Jesus will come again and bring a reign of peace. Okay, so I was thinking this statement being made of the reasons why horses are cheap is because there's a reign of peace now. There's no longer to be ridden in war. That could be one reading, but not really. Because if you read the hadith, he's going back and forth. This is what's going to happen when Jesus comes. Here's what's going to happen before Jesus comes. Here's what's going to happen before the Antichrist comes. So that's why that's why I actually included that in there. In fact, I want to just share. I forgot one reference. I'm going to give it to you. Let's go. Let's see. Horses, warfare. Basically, it's just a reference showing that they're no longer used in warfare. They're basically mostly used now for carrying, like if you go to the modern, let me get to you the right reference here. Carrying stuff, and for, let me just get to you the exact quote here. Early modern period. I'll tell you what, I can't find it right now, but I'll put it for you inside the description. Oh, no, I think I can't find it. Hold on. Modern uses. Here we go. Yeah. Today, many of the historical military uses of the horses have evolved into peacetime application. And it goes on, and it says, formal combat units of cavalry are mostly a thing of the past. And that's what the hadith states over here. They will never be ridden in war again. Now, when you say that, you can interpret it two ways. You can say in an absolute sense, or you could say in a general sense. So a statement like that can render two different readings. But either reading, you will see there's a great deal of accuracy in that. So what do you think? Let me know. Put your comments in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be updated with the latest information on hadith, on prophecies. Not only that, but we're inviting atheists and other critics and skeptics to try to debunk our evidences. So this is going to lead to an all-out discussions and debate. You don't want to miss it. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for listening.